Some of those costs are beyond our management. They are mandated, so we cannot do much about those. What we can do is try to be, again, creative in terms of how to raise revenues to offset those costs. And by raising revenues, I am not using any kind of code word for raising taxes. On the contrary, I think that is where creativity has to come in, and we have to look at many different alternatives. One of the things I would like to see is increase the property value of the business district by perhaps improving the kind of businesses that we have, by promoting that Rye residents do more of their businesses here, patronize more of our own businesses. That is going to create more volume, more traffic, and it is going to increase again.
We value what our public employees do, what the police, the fire, the other employees do, and I think it's really essential that we communicate with them that we value their services. I think one of the nice things about living in Rye is that you do feel like your police and your fire, that they all are looking out for you, and even the men who collect our garbage and our recycling. They really, we have a good relationship with them, and I think that's a very important thing. So as we attack contracts in the future, we do need to continue to keep those channels of communication open so that it doesn't become an acrimonious dispute with them, as it very easily can be. I also think we need to make sure that we have a long-term view of the city's budget in mind when we conduct those negotiations. I think all too often in the past there have been short-term increases with larger increases on the backside, which is what we're feeling today, where our pension costs are increasing significantly faster than the city's budget is. So I think that's an essential part of the contract negotiations is communication, and then making sure that we don't do something in the long term that's going to hurt people 50 years from now. And then finally, I would say that we've had a lot of discussions about creating revenue within the city that comes actually from outside the city. So when you're talking about our downtown district, we've got a lot of vacant storefronts. That's a problem for the city of Rye generally, but it's also a problem for our tax revenues on a larger scale. So it's very important that we figure out how to attract more businesses to our downtown. We can't require landlords to charge less, so that means we have to make our downtown more appealing. The renovations that have been going to the sidewalks, I know they've created some short-term frustration, but in the long term, I think it's going to be a benefit for Rye. It's going to be what's best for Rye is to have better sidewalks, better pedestrian access to our shops. But we need to think about more projects like that will create more pedestrian traffic downtown. Just a little plug for the Historical Society's Walk Rye History. Our Walk Rye History Tour is a project that we hope will bring people into the downtown, pedestrians into the downtown, to see a lot of the history that is in our downtown and will continue to stay there, hopefully with people's respect for history.
We have been looking for ways to be more efficient. There are things to do that might need to be sold to the community in terms of shared services, in terms of a regional approach. Everybody has this, that, and the other equipment. Do we need that much in this, geographic area? There are things that can be done, and I know the city staff is looking to do their best to come up with possibilities for us to become more efficient. We're going to get another bump up in healthcare costs this year, and in pensions, and we're going to have to come up with that money. We've been very careful, especially since we started in 2008 when the economy headed south. And I'm hearing there's a double dip recession, but I don't really see that we're out of the first one at the the municipal level. So it's a serious problem. But it's been the council's goal since this happened is to ease the burden on the taxpayer as much as possible, because as Catherine mentioned, our elastic revenues kind of went off the cliff and they haven't come springing back. So whatever we are going to get, we're going to have to take out of somebody's pocket to get to use the money. So we have to be really careful. We've deferred a lot of capital expenses as much as we can, including replacing trucks, down to very sort of little. We started out with this recession planning task force looking for $100,000 increments of things we could cut. That's what we started in 2009 when we were just we have to do something, and we're now kind of digging into stuff that's a little less. But we go through the budget every year and we sort of nitpick it and look for things that we can squeeze or eliminate.
I think there are two things that have to be considered. One is you want good people to provide services. You want good services, and people deserve to be compensated for that. By the same token, because of the nature of that legislation, we're forced to have a different kind of dialogue as we evaluate how those benefits are managed. And it's a very unpleasant subject, and as many, many people in this community know, I was very much in the thick of that for quite some time because we had to encounter all of these issues with our teaching union. And the fact is, you have to sit down and you have to look at the parameters of what you can do. We did it at the time without a tax cap. We did it at the time when we simply knew what the community was willing to spend and what they weren't, where the line was, and that's because we really listened hard to folks around the community. And it was a big challenge. I stepped into the middle of that negotiation, and ultimately I threw the lawyers out of the room, and I said, we're going to talk like people who live in a community, and we all are going to find the common ground, and we're going to work through the unpleasantness of getting there, and then we're going to decide how we do this to make sure we have the services we need, and we protect the jobs, which is certainly what, and the benefits that the union or a collection of employees want to maintain. So you have to have that discussion, and you have to have it openly, and you have to be frank with what your limits are, and people have to work through it. It's called collective bargaining. That gets very quickly forgotten, and it becomes adversarial, and there's a way to bring that around. And I did that through small group discussions. Now, the city is organized in a different way than the school board, but the very same principles of really open and candid dialogue have to apply, no matter whether you're dealing with a small group of individuals who are part of a collective bargaining unit or a group of individuals who are not. It's really a matter of having that open dialogue and having a set of scenario plans from the city's standpoint to see what the budget implications are of the decisions you make and the offers you make and the concessions you make in the course of either negotiations or structuring those arrangements.
Thank you. A lot of it has to do, is controlled by our collective bargaining agreements and how we end up with contracts with our unions. So some of it is within our control in that sense, but we are, we do have a partner. We have the police, the fire, the DPW, all the CSEA employees, and I think it's important to really have a good dialogue with them so that they understand that we're all in this together. I think, what we saw in the most recent high-profile contract negotiation in Rye with the teachers and at the school board level, it was kind of a draw a line in the sand, us against them type of confrontation, and it was a lot of tough guy stuff where we're not going to give in, we're not going to accede to their demands, and on the other side, you're not negotiating with us in good faith. So really, I didn't think it was a good environment. I mean, in the end, I guess the contract, the percentage increase in salary was deemed to be a good deal for the city in the sense that it was lower than what it could have been. But I think the acrimony that it created was just unnecessary. And, it's a cost-benefit type of analysis you have to do. So, yeah, did you end up with a salary increase that was relatively low? Yeah. But at what cost to, just the general good feeling in the community and amongst your employees?